Hi guys, welcome to another tutorial. Today, Learn with Vidas series, I will be teaching you a very useful skill. Imagine yourself in a situation where you have to play an unfamiliar instrument, demonstrate an organ, or you don't have your music score, you don't have even a hymnal, right? And you don't remember how all the hymn tunes that you want to play sound at the moment, and you want to try it out. Yes, try out some solo stuff, some beautiful registrations. And today's tutorial is all about that, creating a coherent musical structure, like a composition, like a meditation, but we'll call it a cantabile, because meditation, it could be a variety of textures, but cantabile usually has a solo voice in one of the voices, either right hand part or left hand part. I think the easiest way to start would be if the solo melody would be in the right hand part. So that's what we will be doing today. Left hand and pedals will have accompaniment figures, so to say. But it's a very simple procedure, step by step. It has 7 main steps, but plus a few additional prerequisites, things to think about before practicing. But basically just 7 real steps. And we'll talk about each of them in turn and practice, and I will show, demonstrate, and by the end of this very short lesson, I think we'll finish within an hour, you will learn actually to do it with me. So stay tuned now. Grab a keyboard if you have an organ or something. It could even work without the pedals if you don't have pedals, because left hand and pedals usually would play similar textures, except maybe pedals would play slower than left hand part. Yeah, but still it's an accompaniment. So right hand would be playing on the solo manual. And talking about manuals and registrations, let's take a look at the sample set I have selected for you. It's sample set by Svelling, organ in Haarlem Philharmonic Hall, Cavalier Hall organ from 1871, beautiful instrument, newly released by Svelling. And I featured. Oh, let me adjust it. Yeah, I featured it in a couple of my previous live streams on the bench with Vidas already, and it works beautifully. So before I select registrations, let me see who is in the chat. Don and Giovanni. Hello. Welcome. I hope you will learn a lot today. And of course, there is a new feature in YouTube. If you want to engage in live chat, you can actually earn top level 1, 2, 3 up to 50 top fans if you engage enough, if you earn enough experience points. So you could click on the top fans button and see your number. Right now there are 2 because we're just starting. Don and Giovanni. Don is number 1 and Giovanni is number 2. All right. So let's take a look at the registration. A registration for the solo voice. Maybe we'll have something like let's see if trumpet is okay. What about cornet? Cornet harmonic is nice with tremolo. What about recia, basson? Trumpet is a little too much. So if we want a more harmonics mutation-oriented sound, we could use positive with the cornet. And if we want a reed, we could use basson and hautbois from the reci, okay? And in the beautiful grand org sound. Bourdon, Salicional. If I do this, let's say at our Vilnius University St. John's Church, on the first manual, I use two stops, flauto major and salicional. So maybe not too much, right? Beautiful enough. Actually, we could reinforce. Clarinet, for example, sounds beautiful, right? And maybe flauta dulce. So basically there are three kinds of solo voice textures if you want to see a reed, a mutation. It could be actually like this, and this, and this. You see, 8, 4, and a quint, 2 and 2/3. But I think cornet would sound really nice. Although, on the second thought, this I like even better. 8, 4, and 2 and 2/3, right? So every organ is different, and for example, the third way of registering a solo stop would be with foundation stops, flute harmonique, and maybe even viola da gamba, right? Some organs have undamaris. Undamaris, it has, if it's strong enough, then it adds a sort of undulation effect. Yeah, but I think for our purposes, Bourdon and Salicional would work very well. All right, the last thing we need, of course, is 16-foot and 8-foot soft stops. Some organs don't have sub-bass 16, they have contrabass. And violoncello? It's a little louder, but maybe not necessary on this occasion, because contrabass is pretty strong here. All right, you see? Okay. Who else in the chat? Sean, hello, wonderful to see you. And Mark is here. Great to see you. Marco Wilkinson. I think it's the first time I've seen Mark in the live chat. So, welcome. Hope you will find this tutorial helpful. Actually, this skill will be really extremely helpful to anybody who would learn it, because you probably seen me doing these cycles of Cantabile's improvisation recently, like within the last few weeks. The first one was like at St. John's Church, I was doing a mass. Then the second was improvising on historical one manual and pedal organ at St. Anne's Church in Vilnius. And then the third one was in St. Peter St. Paul's Church in Vilnius with 2 manuals and pedals. All right, so it's and the most recent is of course the Tartu organ in Estonia, where we just traveled with Ausra. She recorded a couple of pieces of her own, and I recorded my improvisations, which later can become transcribed compositions. Yeah, if performed correctly, if performed deliberately. And by the way, talking about Estonia, Tartu, here is what we got as a souvenir: Tartu St. Paul's Church organ. We both received 2 cups, so I'm drinking some water today from Estonian cup. All right. Excellent. So, are you with me? Let's do it. Before we do these 7 steps, we have to establish some ground rules, okay? We will choose the key of C major because it's the easiest one, the easiest. C major, no accidentals, right? That's the thing. Then what we can do is obviously we can simply decide on the tonal plan and the form, right? Tonal plan and the form. Form will be obviously very simple: ABA form, A, B, and A form. A meaning exposition, B meaning something else like a contrasting section in different keys, and then A at the end would be like a recapitulation or a sort of recapitulation, because it's improvisation and we don't always remember what exactly we played, but it will still be memorable enough to remind us of the beginning in C major. So form is clear. Now the so to say tonal plan, and before we do all these steps, is very also simple. We start with the C major and end with the C major, all right? Sean, firing the organ now. Okay, excellent. And I hope the tuning of your organ and my organ will be the same, because sometimes I choose different instruments tuned higher or lower, right? Historically, in different tuning systems. In different pitch levels, and people then have a hard time to matching this. One of the ways to do this is either practice on a silent keyboard and still hear what I'm playing. I do that sometimes. Or if you have a virtual organ, you can adjust the pitch level higher or lower if you need to, right? Like Hauptwerk or Svelling, for example, they allowed us to do, I think. Excellent. So now, excellent. So talking about the middle part, which is not in the C major, right? C major beginning and end. In the middle, we could modulate or do some improvisation, not necessarily modulation, but basically direct switch to another key into related keys that are different from the home key with one accidentals. For example, if we take a look at the keyboard view in C major, right? No accidentals. C major is a home key, and if we start building major or minor triads with keys, with C major notation only, these, right? These will say to us what kind of keys we can move with confidence that they would be related. D minor, right? 1 flat. E minor, 1 sharp, F major, 1 flat, G major, 1 sharp, A minor, the same number of accidentals, so no accidentals, except B, from the note B, it doesn't work, because in C major there is no F sharp. So B minor doesn't count. B flat major doesn't count, because B flat is not on the menu today in C major. So we can safely modulate to only D minor, E minor, F major, G major, right, and A minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there is one more F minor key, which is derived from the harmonic major. But this is a little more advanced than I need you to do today. So let's stay within C natural major, not the harmonic major. And therefore F minor would not be in these groups of keys, right? So we can use only 6 keys. The first key in the beginning, and ending, and the 5 consecutive keys would be simply in the middle, right? But we don't need to use all of them. We can choose a couple of them or 3 of them, and that would be enough. So my proposition before I do this, Sean was interrupted by a minute-long advertisement. Minute-long advertisement. If you guys suffer from live stream advertisements, you could consider what I and some of our YouTube organist friends do. We have premium account from YouTube. We pay monthly subscriptions, right? Very affordable fee to YouTube every month. But in return, we get 2 main things. We can play all the videos in background mode. Let's say I'm walking, right, taking a walk, right, and I want to listen to organ music in the background without the screen on. I can do this with premium, right? Without premium, if you turn off the screen, the sound disappears, right? So consider this. It's very useful if you are a serious listener. And the second thing that I really love is no advertisement at all. I don't get any ads on YouTube because I pay monthly fee for this. So take a look at this if you really are annoyed at the ads that they serve during live streams, right? Or during concert videos or shorter videos. Yeah. So yeah, obviously ads serve a purpose to the creators, yeah, because a small portion of the ad revenue of course get distributed to the creators, and therefore we get some sense of what you're watching as well. So thank you for your patience also. Excellent. So that was of course on the side. So now about continuing our discussion about the keys, right? If we are in C major, and in the middle of the piece we want to use different keys, I propose the first key to be the dominant key. Here is the keyboard. Dominant key is not C major, but the 5th scale degree. G major, 1 sharp, the 5th scale degree. And then the second key that we could use could be a relative minor key, right? A minor. And the third one, F major, subdominant. So 3 keys: dominant, relative minor, and subdominant. Dominant, relative minor, and subdominant. 1 sharp, 0 sharps, and 1 flat. About all of them will be in turn, obviously. But now let's start thinking about step one. Okay, step one would be to improvise a melody with your right hand part, no other parts, keeping in mind your tonal plan: C major, at the end C major, and in the middle G major, A minor, and F major. Okay, 5 keys altogether, 3 in the middle, 2 on the beginning and end. C, G, A, F, and C if you want to write it out. Okay, keep that in mind. And now the first step would be to improvise a melody on the solo manual, solo registration, which I chose. You could choose something different, right? You could have another reed on your organ. You could have something else like mutations 8/4, flutes 8/4 and a third, 1 3/5 with a tremolet, let's say, or 8/4 and a beautiful high fifth, 1 1/3 with a tremolet, or even better, 8/4, 1 3/5 and 1 1/3, a third basically, and a high-pitched fifth, like or cornea sound, 8/4, fifth, then 2 1/3, all flutes obviously, right? You could have a reed, you could have undamaris, viola da gamba with flute combinations as a solo voice as well. Depends on your choice. It's all beautifully sounding for the cantabile. And by the way, a left hand part could be registered as not only as flute and string combination, because bourdon and salicionals. Bourdon is a flute, salicional is a string, but could be all strings, like on resi. What do we have here on resi? On the positive, we have viola da gamba and voix celeste. Those two stops could be your for example, jest for accompaniment, right? If you want. In our case, would be flute, bourdon, and string salicional, quite enough. All right. So how do you do this first step? How do you improvise a melody in 5 keys? C major, G major, A minor, F major, and back to C major. Now, you have to choose a meter, right? First, meter. For cantabiles, most useful meters are probably 2. 4/4 meter or common meter, right? And 3/4 meter. 3/4 if you want to do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And 4/4 meter, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Concert tempo, performance tempo could be probably slower, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, like around 50. Slower than moderato, faster than adagio, something in between. Sometimes faster, sometimes slower, depending on your wishes and your character and your mood. Yeah, if it's closer to andantino, or it's closer to, let's say, meditation. Yeah, if you want more active tempo, pace, or more slower, it's still cantabile. It's still up to you. All right, so tempo, slow, moderate tempo, right? About 50, 4/4 meter for now. Okay, and we could do the structure of each key very simple, very simple. 4 measures of question, 4 measures of answer. 8 measure long phrase. And then another phrase would be 8 measures long, like musical idea in G major. The first musical idea in C major, then in G major, then in A major, and then in F major and back to C major. 8 measures long, each of them. In reality, in real situation, you're not limited to 8 measures. Could be 10 measures, could be 12 measures, and even 16 measures if you want to expand something, because this is improvisation, and sometimes you need to expand something, right? So just keep that in mind. So let's construct this melody. We're in step 1, something like that. Constructing melody in C major using 8, 4 and a quint sound, 5th, right? 2 and 2/3. Constructing a question and an answer. Question is like musical idea starting on the C major chord pitches, 1, 3 or 5 degrees, scale degrees, and ending not on tonic, not on the 1st scale degree and not in the 3rd scale degree. All right. Let me do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Okay, that was our question. One more time. I keep counting for you the measures. 1, 2. Okay, and we ended on the dominant chord because the 2nd scale degree asked for the dominant chord, because G major chord, right? Right? Something like that. Or it could be a little different, starting from the 3rd scale degree. Okay, I didn't end on the tonic note deliberately, but I ended on the dominant note, 5th scale degree. That's because we need to end it with a question mark, not with the period, but question mark. That's a question, musical idea with a question. And an answer would be the same thing, but with a different ending, like this. You see, 4 measures, but we ended on C. One more time. I could start from the C and end on G and back to C or E. That would be our 8 measure musical idea, question and answer. One more time. Obviously, the first phrase could end not on the whole note, right? But on a half note, half note, on the 3rd beat, not on the 1st beat. So that means more movement in the 4th measure a little bit. But the last 8th measure could be the whole note because it's a full stop, not a question mark. You see what I mean? If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the live chat right now. And I'm continuing now one more time, a little bit with C major. For example, I could use this reed, right? registration, starting from the E. And by the way, what rhythms do I use, right? Rhythms are suitable, very, very simple. Quarter notes, eighth notes, dotted quarter notes, right? Dotted eighth notes? No, because yes, if it's slow enough, then it's okay. But after dotted eighth note, we need to play 16 note. And 16 notes in cantabiles are generally a little too much. So it depends. If you're slow enough, then it's fine. But mostly use these three rhythmical values: quarter notes, eighth notes, and dotted quarter notes. What about eighth notes? Half notes. Yes, half notes in the stop or the question mark area. It's very useful. Can you do tied over syncopations, right? Yes, you can, but it's generally more difficult to do, so you could stay with a simple solution, what I'm using right now. All right? It's not about doing more advanced stuff right away. It's doing about what works right away. And this is what works for you. It's Osha and I, we've been talking about this a lot, how to improvise those melodies. And one of the ways to imagine this is that we are creating musical dictation, one voice melodic dictation, 8 measures long, specifically suited for kids in the 6th grade. In the art school, art gymnasium, where we taught for many years before in music theory department, and so they would write from memory musical dictations. We would play on the keyboard 8 measure long dictation, I think 8 or 10 times, or sometimes longer, and they would notate those measures on sheet of paper without looking at the keyboard, right? In any key, any meter, right? And that would be something similar what we're trying to create right now, like a dictation, 8 measures, right? Obviously, entire composition, obviously, entire cantabile will have more measures. By the way, how many measures? If we have 5 keys, C major, G major, A minor, and F major, back to C major, that's 8 times 5, already 40 measures. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. It could be a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, plus minus. Recapitulation could be even shorter than the beginning. But you could extend recapitulation with the plagal excursion to the subdominant key and sort of add a little coda at the end. That's also possible if you need a longer one. So yeah, imagine creating in the right hand part a series of one voice dictations for 6th graders. But those 6th graders are future professionals, musicians, you see. All right. Because they learn music theory from the 9th grade, but from the 1st grade they learn air training. All 12 years in gymnasium curriculum, they have 2 lessons per week of air training, right? Plus, in the 9th grade, 2 lessons per week of music theory, and grades 10, 11, and 12, they have 2 lessons per week of harmony. Right? And also from those harmony years, they also have keyboard harmony exercises to do privately with the instructor, with the teacher. Not a full lesson, but maybe 15 minutes long, or 12 minutes long, or 20 minutes long, depending on the school curriculum. So basically, maybe 1 full lesson per week, or a quarter of the lesson, or a 3rd lesson theory, keyboard harmony per week. So that's very professional approach. But still, you could move on with those improvisations also in a slow, your own tempo and speed. All right. Series of one voice melodies in the right hand part. All right. Don is jealous of these kids. Maybe, maybe not. Why you should be jealous? I don't have an idea. Because if these kids, yes, they learn music from the first grade and become professional musicians, but not everyone wants to be professional musicians. And a lot of them later, sometimes not a lot of them, but some of them switch gears to other professions, right? And instead they get a weaker, let's say, science curriculum, weaker physics, weaker mathematics, because you can't teach everything for the child if you're preparing to be a future professional musician, right? So later in life they have to choose what they do, and sometimes they're don't want to be professional musicians later in life, right? But people who start music later in life, like you guys, I assume, right? You can study at your own pace and choose your own curriculum, right? And move on at your own level, and don't necessarily think about professionalism and amateurism, whatever suits you. You just study whatever you want, what feels right for you at the moment, right? Or whatever I feel is right for you at the moment, right? Like Cantabile. Okay. So now let's do some practical things, keeping in mind those keys: C major, G major, A minor, F major, and back C major. One voice, that's step one. We're still in step one. But I promise later will be faster, because this is all prerequisite, like a foundation of what we're going to do. But from now on, you will be moving on faster. Okay? So, keyboard view. I'll maybe mute the mic for a better sound and improvise a cantabile with one voice only, right? Right hand with 5 keys with our form: C major, G major, A minor, F major, and C major for you. And you can do the same at the same speed. Okay, enjoy. So, what do you think? Was it slow enough for you to feel all the keys in between, 8 measures? I think 8 measure structure is so rigid here that in reality you could be more free with your structure. But for learning purposes, and even if you actually transcribe this as a sheet music notation, it would sound still pretty good. It would be maybe, if I gave it a title, I could say accessible or easy cantabile, right? Not necessarily advanced, not necessarily something very fluid, right, like improvisational, but easy for everyone to play, for sixth graders to play with one hand. That's what we're doing. But I created for you right now 5 melodic dictations, nothing more and nothing less, right? 5 melodic dictations, 8 measures long each, 4 meter, every dictation ending and starting on the tonic note, but in the middle ending with a question mark on the dominant note. That's it. That's what all I did. Did you find it difficult or not? All right. If it's difficult, of course, you have to keep practicing. It's when you repeat this video, when you come back to this video in the middle of the week, you have to do this first step. You know how many times? As many times as it takes to play 3 times in a row without mistakes. Fluently, right? Fluently in this tempo that I'm showing you, 3 times in a row without mistakes. If you make a mistake somewhere, you have to keep counting at the beginning, you see? That's important, because if you move too fast to the second step, which I will show you right now, it will be a little bit too fast for you and maybe you will feel overwhelmed, right? But for learning purposes, I want to finish today, right? This all 7 steps. Therefore, I will be only demonstrating it once. It's a demonstration, not a drill, right? I could do this like a separate course for you for like 1 week long. I could create series of videos of practicing with you, drilling, yeah, step 1, and week 2 would be step 2, all those days, right? And week 3 would be step 3, and so on. And in 7 weeks you would be fluent, very fluent with these things. But obviously this is too much for a free tutorial. This has to be a paid course. By the way, you could let me know if that would be something that you would wish to learn with me. Yeah, that could be possible. Even on a private lessons, we have Osha and I have Buy Me a Coffee platform, and there we have some options for private lessons as well. So if you want to learn improvisation, check out there, and things that seem useful to you, we could teach you. Yeah, so more in depth than I have time for you today. Right? Okay. Now, step 2. Step 2 would be left hand, right? Left hand. And imagine what step 3 would be. Obviously the pedals. Step 4, I could tell you all the steps right now. Step 4 would be right hand and left hand alone. Step 5 would be right hand and pedals alone. Step 6, left hand and pedals alone. And step 7, all parts together. That's all it takes. Yeah, I'm almost done. Yeah, I can stop playing for you and leave you practicing. But no, I want to demonstrate. Step 2. Left hand, keeping the same meter, the same structure of 8 measures long for each key, of 5 keys all together. Let's create something coherent. Left hand will play 3-note chords. 3 notes will sound at the same time. Okay. And 3-note chords usually are, what kind of chords do we know? basically just three chords, right? Major root position chord, major first inversion chord, major second inversion chord, right? Or a minor root position chord, minor first inversion chord, minor second inversion chord. Can we use something like dominant seventh chord? Yes, we can. Dominant seventh inversions. Subdominant chord with inversions. Dominant chord with inversions. Yes. 6 scale degree chord with inversions. But no 7th scale degree chord. Right? Everything else is usable. From the E note. Yeah, that's in C major. Yeah. So let's do this. Let me demonstrate the second step. Oh, I forgot to mention, what kind of rhythms do we need to use in the left hand part now? Right hand moves faster, right? Quarter notes, eighth notes, dotted quarter notes primarily. Then you could use half notes sometimes and even whole notes. Dotted half notes if you want also. So basically choose between those 6 rhythms in the right hand part, but the left hand part, you move slower. How about once per measure or twice per measures? Half notes or whole notes? That's all your options, basically. To keep it simple, because a left hand needs to be played as legato as possible. You see, you cannot play fast passages with 3-note chords legato at the basic level just yet, so keep it simple and slow enough. Okay, let's do it. Okay, that was step 2. A series of chord progressions, basically in 5 keys, 8 measures long each. Basically, you notice that I started and ended not on the root position chord, but on the first inversion chord or second inversion chord. It doesn't matter really which inversion you use to start or to end, because it's not the bass. The bass will be the pedal part, and it will have the main scale degree, the main root of the chord, basically. And then you will find, obviously, a better chordal structure if you're thinking left hand and pedals together, but later in step 6, I believe that will be. Now step 3 will be just the pedal part. We'll do the same, but pedals could use only two rhythms, right? Half notes or whole notes. Sometimes dotted half notes and then a quarter note, but basically changing the harmony, changing the beat twice per measure, changing the chords. So the pedals would also need to be sometimes changed twice per measures, but you could use most of the time whole notes, also changing once per measure, because left hand can play a related harmony to your chord in the pedals. Let's say I play C note in the pedals, imagining it's a C major chord, C, E, G, right? But C chord could be like a root position chord, and then first inversion chord, and even second inversion chord. I could use different positions on the same chord. Therefore, there is no need to switch to another pedal key as often as with the left hand part. You could even change harmony, like tonic and subdominant both have C major note, C note in common. C, E, G, C major chord, F, A, C, it's subdominant, right, in C major. Both chords have note C. Therefore, if I play, let me show you this way. If I play this chord, I could use subdominant, tonic, subdominant, tonic, subdominant, so tonic, subdominant, for entire structure, just 2 chords, and my would be just C. Sometimes like this, yeah? Sometimes 1 octave lower if I want. Remember, you don't need to switch the pedals as often as in the left hand part, because of precisely this, because some chords have common notes together. Chords, by the way, chords which are 4th or 5th apart, like tonic dominant, tonic subdominant, they have 1 common note. Tonic chords which are major or minor 3rd apart, they have 2 common notes, C major and E minor, for example. They have both E and G in common. So there is even more possibility to stay within 1 harmony in the pedals. The only progression which doesn't have any common notes is between chords of the major 2nd or minor 2nd apart. C major, D minor, and back and forth, vice versa. No common notes. D minor, E minor, no common notes. E minor, F major, no common notes, right? No common notes. Therefore, you have to move to different position every time you use those 2 chords. That's a little bit of theory for you. And let's do step 3. Okay, step 3 would be just the pedal part. I will use just this camera angle for you. Enjoy. right, what do you think? Pedal sound is a bit faint on the mobile. Okay, let me add maybe violoncello. Is it better? I could add actually not violoncelle but tiras grand orgue. Basically, you see, coupler with the grade. Yeah, maybe this way. Okay, I think it's with the coupler is better. So that was step 3, just the pedals. What we learned so far is single melodies. Right hand alone, step 1, left hand alone with chords, step 2, and the pedal in the bass, step 3. Step 4, 5, and 6 will be 2-part textures. Step 4 will be right hand and left hand alone. Let's do this. Now that we know what we have to do, right, to create a series of melodies, basically question and answer form in 5 different keys: C major, G major, A minor, F major, and C major. 8 measures long, question and answer form. Left hand would supply the harmony for these melodic notes. And we've been doing that separately, but now let's connect those 2 parts. Enjoy. I added a simple harmonic progression to do with tonic, subdominant, and back to tonic at the end. Right. Tonic, subdominant, and tonic. That's a very effective way to conclude a piece. It's called plagal extension. It could be even longer if you want, with a little different subdominant flavor chords, like second scale degree. Like this. It could have actually even harmonic major chords. F minor, it's derived from harmonic major of C major, right? But basically, it could work as an extension of the last note. In the tonic, in the melody, you would use obviously C note, and C note is common to both C major and F major, and therefore it would be longer, but with ritenuto at the end, you could change those two chords back and forth, C, F, C, and that would signal the ending of the piece very well. All right, step 4 was 2 hands together. Step 5, right hand and pedals. Are you with me? Let's do it. Right hand and pedals. So maybe I'll use this angle. The ending, it's like amen, right? Amen. Or amen. At the end of the hymn, right? Which was commonly sung in earlier days, but not so much today. All right. So we also have step 6. Would be left hand and pedals, basically chordal accompaniment, chords in the left hand part, the bass in the pedals. Let's do it. Maybe we'll need this one. Yeah. All right, so I think we are now to the 7th step, right? 6th step was 2 parts with left hand and pedals. Nice sound, nice harmonies. And now put everything together, right hand part, left hand part, chords, and the pedals together. And here is what we can create right now. Enjoy. The last step. What do you think? Was it good enough? Yeah, definitely it was long enough to be a cantabile. But can it be a little even more interesting? Maybe. So it's for you to find that out and practice each step separately, fluently until you can do it without mistakes 3 times in a row. Every single step, that's very, very significant. Without that you would be rushing, and rushing leads to, of course, poor results, poor posture, poor basically increase of stress levels. And you don't need stress here. It's just so relaxing to play on the instrument those beautiful melodies and accompany yourself with some beautiful chords. That's all it is to it. Except you need to be aware of space, right, and time. Space-time continuum, right, as they say in sci-fi movies. Um, Space and time. All the keys have to have coherent structures. 8 measures long, sometimes longer, as you probably saw me do. Sometimes the first question is not a question in itself. Sometimes it's a statement ending on the tonic note, but the ending of the same idea is even different. So feel free to experiment and expand on those ideas that I did today, and I think you will create something beautiful, and you will increase your improvisational abilities, your fantasy, your imagination. You will never be without any fantasy on the instrument. You will never be short of pieces to play this way. If you learn this crucial skill, you will always be very impressive to your listeners. Imagine a group of friends or your family come to you and with unfamiliar organ. You're traveling on a vacation, going to an old church, and you get access to an organ to try it out. And you don't have any scores with you, don't memorize anything, yeah? Hymns, maybe also, you know, one or two, but maybe not with the harmonies, right? It's also stressful and not very interesting to do just plain hymns. But you could create those beautiful harmonies and the melodies together and put together a beautiful cantabile. It could be a piece like a prayer without words, sacred prelude. I name my pieces like this: sacred preludes, pieces, prayers without words. What else was there? All kinds of meditative titles, which really resonate beautifully with your listeners. All right. Did you enjoy this tutorial or not? Tell me, please. And I really appreciate your support. So really great. Thank you so much, everyone who donates and who contributes to the increase of my imagination. All right. So one last time for you before we say goodbye. Before we end this tutorial, and this will be maybe even a little different this time. Here it is. All right. So yeah, that was a little different. Thank you so much, Sean, for your ticket. That's very, very nice. Very kind of you. And of course, what I did at the end, you can do it too. You can leave a single melody. It's so refreshing to have it without any accompaniment for a couple of beats, and or even a measure. To have it on one harmony, sort of arpeggio figures in C major, and then arpeggio figures on G major, and then back in C major with a plagal excursion to F major and back to C major. Study what I did a moment ago, and you will find that this is really useful to practice over the week. Like a drill with your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe you will need 10 times of repeating each steps. Could be. Don't rush through this. But if you do this every day, in 7 days, you could be very, very fluent with this and actually create a demonstration video for us to see on YouTube and share it. I would be delighted to see what you have created and share it with our little organ community here too. That's an idea for you. All right, thank you so much, Sean, for your virtual ticket again. Dawn, who is also present, and who was the top fan, of course. You see, Sean became #1 with his virtual ticket. That's what what YouTube, of course, encourages. Dawn is #2, and Giovanni #3, and Mark Wilkinson #4. Hopefully this was delightful and useful to you all, guys. Stay tuned for next week's videos from Tartu, from Estonia. Tomorrow Aushra will publish our recital, and I will publish on my channel our travel vlog. Right? It's already uploaded, and now YouTube is reviewing it basically, and tomorrow we'll have great time watching it all. Okay, watching our travel adventures in Estonia, and of course experiencing this Baltic Reverie duet recital in Tartus St. Paul's Church. What else? Oh yeah, next week Ausha and I are going on a little trip to village church in Šeduva in Lithuania to play our reed organ duet program on Saturday. So probably, yeah, we will still meet on the bench with Vidas on Friday, and with the tutorial Learn with Vidas on Sunday. Great musical week, so stay tuned. And remember, when you practice, miracles